So picture this for just a moment. You have this old house from like the 1800s that suddenly goes on the market. And then you see some Yelp reviews or whatever review site you're using, and it says, some paranormal activity reported. 0 out of 10 would not recommend. If this house went on the market for a bargain price, would you take the steal and would you buy the house? Well, this idiot did, and because of this, we have a thriller. Yeah, let's talk about this. Cue the intro. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to yet another brand new movie review, and as always, I thank you all so much for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy your stay. Because this time around, we're looking at this brand new Netflix exclusive gothic scary horror mystery called Things Heard and Seen. And this one was written and directed by the team of Robert Pulcini and Shari Berman, and it stars a great cast. You got Amanda Seyfried in here, James Norton, as well as the legendary F. Murray Abraham. After moving to a small home in uptown New York with her husband, a young artist played by Amanda Seyfried begins to suspect that their home harbors a dark secret. Before I forget, this movie is also based off of a novel called All Things Cease to Appear, I believe. It's written by Elizabeth Brundage. And yeah, the fact that it's based off a book will be important for later on in the review. But for right now, for what this movie is, a Netflix exclusive scary film, credit where it's due, I think this movie had a lot working for it. The main praise I can give Things Heard and Seen is this cast. Top to bottom, they are absolutely stacked with talent, and they are all here bringing their A game. Amanda Seyfried especially, I think gives her best performance in a while as our lead Catherine. I love how she's playing so against her type here. This is not the type of character you would expect Amanda Seyfried to be playing. Yes, she's very approachable, but she also has a no-nonsense attitude. If something feels up or unusual with her home life, she's not afraid to point that out. And I really respected this performance a lot. I feel like she was super excited to take on a role like this, and I am super happy to report that not only was her performance as good as it was, but the chemistry with her other performers is rock solid. Mainly with James Norton and his character, Catherine's husband, George. George is a swindling conman art history college professor. God, that just sounds smarmy all put together. And spoiler alert, he is. This guy is just... God, he's so deplorable. But you can't help but be fascinated watching James Norton work because there are so many layers to this character. And Norton appears to have studied them all thoroughly, and he does a fantastic job in this film. As does the iconic F. Murray Abraham, who I was very happy to see on screen again. And he does some more outstanding work in this film as the college department chair at George's school where he works. There are so many brilliant subtextual moments with Abraham that were just golden, as is the case with the rest of this cast. No spoilers, of course, but there's one sequence in the college library where one character alludes to Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat. It is a perfect analogy for James Norton's character's situation. And like I said, I'm just gonna leave it there. And speaking of subtext, I actually thought the direction for this movie was pretty strong. Behind the camera, I think this team worked wonders together. There were lots of really impressive one-ers that helped put the performances front and center over as strong as they were. And that's ultimately what I think good camera work and good one-ers should be able to do. So that made me very happy to see. And in terms of the horror elements, I also really respect that these directors didn't just depend on jump scares. And they didn't overly rely on big jolts of music in order to instill fear in their audience. That is one of my biggest pet peeve with scary movies nowadays, is that they're way too reliant on the jump scare. And keep in mind, I'm not saying this like it pertains to everybody. Fear is subjective. If you find jump scares scary, that's totally fine with me. But what I'm getting at is actually my first main issue. I wasn't overly scared by Things Heard and Seen, because as a quote-unquote horror movie, this is pretty conventional. I mean, it's got all the usual elements. You have the creepy old house, secluded location, ghosts are popping up everywhere, seances are performed. Whoop-de-doo, right? None of that really intrigued me in the context of this story. I, for one, was actually a lot more interested in learning about the marital trauma and the troubles that these two are going through together. I can't believe I'm saying this, guys, but it really felt to me like the creepy old house and the paranormal element was distracting from everything else. Speaking of distracting, I also wasn't the biggest fan of this cinematography. There are certainly flashes of strong shots that are sparsely provided for us, but there's one sequence towards the climax of this film, and I swear to you guys, I'm not making this up. The camera will very often change from your normal HD 1080p aspect ratios, and then you'll see some weird jump cuts thrown in there, and I'm not kidding you, it looks like literally Amanda Seyfried just shot some of these scenes on her iPhone. Like, guys, I couldn't believe what I was looking at. It was super distracting to see these changes, and really jarring, actually. And yeah, like I mentioned, this is based off of a famous book by Elizabeth Brundage, and I haven't cracked it open once, but I don't really think I need to. I'm convinced that the book is better than this, because this screenplay is sadly also super clunky in my eyes. Yes, I praised the subtext earlier, but those moments are very few and far between. And yes, the general story beats are there because they were given that solid framework or blueprint that Elizabeth Brundage already gave them. In this film, there are times where you can clearly tell that this is based off of a novel, because guys, more often than not, this dialogue will fall into what I like to call the prose trap. You might be wondering, what do I mean by this? The prose trap is basically when you have characters who are talking to one another, and they have to get super detailed. It's like these characters have to tell the audience how they're feeling deep down in their hearts. And for that reason, these characters are mostly talking in ways that you would never hear someone be talking like in real life. And I was just sitting there like, show me how you're feeling, don't tell me. Thankfully, this didn't hurt the performances too much, but I can't lie. This film got pretty tedious to watch after a while because of this dialogue. So while I don't think this movie is necessarily strong in the first half, or not necessarily even the most frightening, it is definitely carried by the marital turmoil of its two leads, who are always fascinating to watch. I'm giving Things Heard and Seen a C+. There's definitely gonna be people who appreciate this movie more than I did, but I don't hate this movie. I'm glad I checked it out at least once, because I think there's a lot to appreciate with the directing and the performances especially. I'd say give this a shot. Who knows, maybe you'll find a hidden gem with this one and you might find it worth your while. But I don't know, this is all just my opinion. What did you guys think of Things Heard and Seen? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Have you guys read the novel that this is based on? Also, what is your favorite paranormal type scary movie? As you guys know, I love making these videos for you guys on the regular. I love starting the discussion about cinema and all things entertainment. So let's continue that discussion all down there in the comments, shall we? And if this is your first time visiting my channel today, if you guys would like to continue discussing all these topics further, if I were you, I'd definitely consider hitting that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can. I mean, it's right there in front of you. It's also free. It would really help out the channel if you did so, and you guys will also be the first ones to know anytime a new video is uploaded over here. And just one last reminder, guys, if you liked the video, please be sure to leave a thumbs up on your way out. And as always, look out for more exciting content hitting my channel very soon. You guys are the best. And with all that being said, back talk, commence.